I try and make you confess, I have a question for you, and you're going to answer me honestly, said Aunt Catherine. Well, I won't tell you if I answer it honestly or not, but go on, I said. Does this secret coming from us involve Marcus trying to rape your mother? Aunt Catherine asked. No, and that's not funny. I know. Well, that's what happens when your brother says he will rape my sister if she doesn't leave him alone, said my Aunt Catherine. Well, she is right. I guess my mom must have told her about Dr. Marcassi's behavior. I still can't tell you about what is going on with that said, I said. What has gone into Marcus lately? Asked Aunt Heather asked. I can't tell you that, I said. Why? Aunt Heather asked. You want to know? You want to know? You should be the one to talk to him, I said. We want to talk to him safely, which means we want to talk to him without talking to him, said my Aunt Heather. That is why we called this meeting, my Aunt Catherine added. Fine, I will tell you, but you need to answer a question for me first and leave out the report of the polygraph test, I said. We'll see, said my Aunt Catherine. What is it? Asked my Aunt Heather. What happened to your mother? I asked. My aunts made a look of shock on their face, which later morphed into anger. What on earth makes you think you can ask that question? My Aunt Catherine asked, with anger in her voice. If you don't answer that question, we're not going to answer yours, I said. Our mom is a thing of the past, and though it still may be a concern, what you guys are up to in your family is a concern for now, said my Aunt Heather. George then came to sit back down. Remain calm if this gets intense, I whispered into George's ear. What did you just whisper? Aunt Catherine asked. None of your business. That's why I whispered it, I said. None of my business? What if you whispered to him that you were going to commit suicide? Aunt Catherine asked. Well, I didn't, I answered. Yeah, he didn't, answered George also. But here's the thing about that. You could still be lying. That is why when we take the polygraph test in a little bit, we will just keep you there until you tell the truth, even if you lie to us 1,000 times, said my Aunt Catherine. Let's stop talking about this, because our food is here, and I have been calm this whole time, and if you keep up this shit, it makes me a lot less calm, I said. The waitress then laid out her food. We're going to stop talking about this, because we're not going to stop talking about this, because this is serious and it is affecting other people, said my Aunt Heather. Yeah, like you made my brother go to the restroom and cry because you made him uncomfortable, I said. Oops, I should have thought about what I just said better. I probably shouldn't have brought that up in front of George because now he is crying again. Oh my gosh, I am sorry, George, I said with actual concern in my voice. Okay, you know what, waiter, give me my check now. This is a to-go meal, said my Aunt Catherine with the waiter. It is now time to give up since it has gone to this point, said my Aunt Heather. You're the one who just said that we're not going to stop talking about this because of how it is affecting people, I yelled. That was before it made someone cry, said my Aunt Heather. How do you know he is not the only one, I asked. The only one about what, my Aunt Heather asked, has cried about this. We don't. We just felt like it has gone on long enough, answered my Aunt Heather. Fine. I will tell you on 2 conditions, I said. What are they? Aunt Catherine asked. Aunt Catherine looked at me directly in the eyes, I said. Okay, said my Aunt Catherine. Aunt Heather, look at George directly in the eyes, I said. Also okay, said my Aunt Heather. George, follow along with me and do what I am doing. George, follow along with me and do what I am doing, I whispered into George's ear. George nodded, and I knew he was not going to question me at all. Here comes the reason we have just been really upset, I said. I then put my hand on my knife. About how things were going lately in our life, I said. I then put the knife upside down into the drink, and I could see that George was following along just fine. So we have begun to form a group that makes projects to make the world a better place, led by Marcus, with him being the next in line to the throne, I said. So the next in line, Prince of Robbinsog, and doing good deeds is what Marcus does for projects? Aunt Heather asked. Not doing good deeds is not making the world a better place, I corrected. Oh, Aunt Heather said. I then grabbed a cup, and George did just fine. So you're working on projects, to make the world a better place? Aunt Catherine asked. Yes, I answered. For who? Aunt Catherine asked. Well, that depends on how you answer this the question I asked. I then began to raise my glass with my knife in it, and I could see that George was following along, and we still had our aunts on lock with us directly in the eyes. What do you mean? That depends on how you answer the question, Aunt Catherine asked. You heard as I said correctly, I answered. So how are you going to answer the question correctly because you haven't answered it yet? Asked Aunt Heather. Not I. Us, I said. I and George threw our glasses and they shattered and they were gushing blood from the glass, ice, and knife. So we made a run to Grand Station and got on the next southbound Red Line train to 95th and Deer and Ryan. Phew, I said as I was getting on the train rolling. George, I could see, was crying because that was difficult for him. I'm sorry, George. Marcus told me to protect the secret at all costs. I said in a calm voice. Are we going to Robbinsog? George asked through his tears. No, I am calling an emergency meeting right now to go to Garfield Park. When are you going to call Dr. Morcassius? As soon as we board the next Green Line train to Harlem Lake. We then arrived at Lake Station and left the train to transfer to State and Lake to pick me up the Green Line. Are we being followed? I asked. No. No. We then began to transfer from the subway to the elevator. You do know that we are going to be able to ride the Green Line with your hood down, so maybe that will make you feel better, I said. I think it will, said George. Night has fallen upon Chicago because daylight savings ended, and it made it even colder when we arrived on the street. It was about 2 more minutes until we arrived at the platform at State and Lake, and I looked over the platform north down State Street to see if ambulances were heading toward the Rainforest Cafe, and I didn't see any, but I didn't tell George about any of that. Just when the Green Line toward Harlem and Lake pulled in and we boarded. I am going to call your brother now, I said to George. Okay, I will be quiet, said George. Before I call, did you get your homework done because I got mine done? I asked. Yes. I then dialed up Dr. Morcassius. What is it now? Dr. Morcassius asked, feeling quite irritated through the phone. Emergency meeting at Garfield Park right now, I answered through the phone. What happened? I did as you said. It's just we have problems and we had problems today. So, you feel like I should know? Yes. Where were your aunts? I don't know, in all honesty. Okay, since I'm not sure how long this is going to be, with it being 8 at night, I'm going to stop at Robbinsog first to pick up our backpacks. We will discuss what to do about sleep after a meeting. I am sorry if I interrupted your time with Hannah. It's fine. Emergencies happen. Dr. Morcassius then hung up. Are you doing okay? I asked George. Better, George answered. Thanks for following along with me toward the end with how you had their eyes on lock. You're welcome. I also want to apologize if I got nasty and it scared you at all. It's fine. I know about your behavioral issues because after all, I am your brother. I know. I have a question for you. Of course, you can ask it. When you told me in the restroom you had a plan, did you mean it? I did have a plan. I wanted to avoid what we were doing, what we did at the end, and unfortunately, we couldn't. So what we did at the end was a last resort. I see. Now I just want to make something clear. What is it? I have a bad feeling we just ruined our relationship with our aunts for a while. Once we save Mom, we must do whatever is in our power to get that relationship back. Okay. I also want to apologize if I upset you because of this consequence. Well, we don't know if that consequence is going to take effect, but okay. George and Ivan hugged and cuddled each other as brothers for about the next 10 minutes, and then we arrived at Conservatory Central Park Drive Station and left the train to wait on the platform for Dr. Marcassius to arrive.